Hey everyone, it's your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we have a dynamic powerhouse speaker today. She is a multi-talented, multi-entrepreneur, and you all won't want to miss a second of this special guest as she delivers a powerful statement telling her story and telling us how to do better business. And so you won't want to miss this show for a second. Stay tuned. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and it's your host, your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman. And today I have on here Miss Adrian Trice. She is the co-owner of DNA Financial Solutions and Chief Operations Officer of Mantis Careers. An advocate of entrepreneurial empowerment, Miss Adrian believes she can empower people to regain control of their lives with her get-it-together philosophy and strong network of support. Through strategy, proven methodologies, and proper spiritual alignment, she educates her clients as she empowers them to follow their entrepreneurial dreams and be confident, be strong, and be intentional as they pursue their goals. Miss, please help me welcome this dynamic speaker and powerhouse woman that is leading the charge in many different industries and taking this world by storm. Help me welcome to the stage, Miss Adrian Trice. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. It is my pleasure to host you. And diving right in, Queen, you are a powerhouse. You are doing it all and then some. What's the saying they say? All that on a bag of chips. Well, you are the Doritos, the Lay's, the nacho cheese with the dip and everything. So tell us, Queen, I have to ask the question. Successful people have successful habits, things that they do day in and day out, every single day, that really sets the tone for the rest of the day. What is it that you do every day consistently that has led to your success?
So one of the biggest things that I do is I involve myself in meditation. So when I wake up, I definitely take at least 15 minutes and contemplate what my day is going to bring about, how I'm going to move about in this three-dimensional world that we're in, and just, really reflect on gratitude and do it without the expectation of the outside world. Because when you do have a lot going on, sometimes the first thing that you wake up to is like, oh my gosh, the checklist. Nope, stop. Take about 15 minutes for yourself and just breathe. So that's something that I dedicate myself to. And then I have spurts of workouts. So I am back into a membership where I've been working out for the last couple weeks again, because tax season is over. So yes, so working out is a regimen that I like to subscribe to.
Love that. Tax season is over. She can finally breathe. This was a crazy year for taxes. And so I have to ask, you could do anything, right? You do everything now. But who inspires you? They could be living or deceased. Who inspires you? Who's someone that you look up to? Who's someone that you admire? That is really kind of just, you could say that you look at them and like say, oh, wow.
Well, I would have to say the entrepreneurial spirit is definitely in my DNA. Of course, my mom and dad, but they left me in the hands of my great aunt Babe, who was the town seamstress. So there wasn't daycare in the 80s, right? But she really had her own in-home business, and she was mobile. So at the time, people wanted slacks. They were up and down in weight. She did weddings. She did wedding dresses, bridesmaid dresses, slacks, and all that. I do remember that very vividly. And I was along for the ride. And her and her sister, they would just go around town providing their services. So that's pretty much who I'm influenced by.
The great Aunt Babe. Kudos to Aunt Babe. So it's in the blood. This is in the blood. This is in the DNA.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
So thank you, Great. Is she still with us? Can I ask that? Is she
No,
still?
she passed many, many moons ago. But yeah, it's just she's definitely one of the most influential, foundational people that I had to look up to, and now I can say, oh, that's where I got that from.
When did you have the entrepreneurial bug? When did you start in saying, like, did you sell bubble gum or hair
Oh.
clips? When
In
did you know?
in my 20s, and my friends laugh at me, there were just little things that they do, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat, and then I would just go into their spaces and just take it over and just do something different. So I've always thought that, I was drawn to maybe some network marketing things, but it was only as a consumer. But I have always liked the option, or the taking something and monetizing it and creating some sort of exchange. So I've been doing that, well, like in my 20s, and that's just carried on throughout the years.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. And it always starts there, right? It always starts somewhere where, like, either the lemonade stand or we see it somewhere and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
that looks cool. For men, like cutting grass or snowing someone's yard. It always starts in the later years, in our earlier years. So you now fast forward, we're here today and you do a multitude of things: financial services, networking, business mogul, entrepreneur, and now trucking.
Yes.
Why the financial services and why taxes, which is your another business aspect that you do, a tax special company? Why those things? Because you could do anything that you
Right.
want. You have the mind and capacity to do anything you want. What stood out to you in those industries?
Taxes was not a choice initially. I was laid
Mm,
off from the corporate world. So I worked in corporate America in the proprietary education field for 13 years. Had started out in sales, acquired, lots of talent, from that point. That was in my early 20s. And then I moved into leadership. And then after 13 years, at the end of my run, I noticed that I was being laid off a lot. And I was like, was just tired of it. So my last round of layoffs, my friend opened up a tax office, and I just went in and I assisted him and just took off, became an independent contractor. I used to do taxes, on the side prior to that. So I was like, oh, yay, I'll do it. And I was a financial director. So when I went into his business, it's like, oh, well, I can actually do this. And then that business 4 years later went bankrupt. And so I was out here on my own. And so that's pretty much how I ended up starting my own business. That my clients were like, well, we still need help. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
right. Wow. So a business that you was a part of, this was your business that went bankrupt.
No, it was a business that I was a part of, and I was an independent contractor. And so when they went bankrupt, closed down here in Arizona, they were an out-of-state tax office. It was just like I was left with clients that needed help the following season. So it kind of forced me to create some alliances and open up my own tax business.
That makes sense. That's the pivot, right? You saw the need and you saw the opportunity. You saw the opportunity that your clients still need. Taxes didn't go away just because the
Right.
business did, and so you pivoted and you've been independent ever since and working for yourself ever since.
Yeah, I've been a brick and mortar for 5 years now.
Whoo! Congratulations! Congratulations! That is dope. Dope, dope, dope. We have one quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels: Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level; Duke Duchess, which is our season level; and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, well, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we have the incredible, the amazing, the powerful, the dynamic, and the humble spirited Miss Adrian Trice. And she is here teaching us. She just told us her story and her great aunt Babe, who inspired the entrepreneurial passion, and she saw it. It's in the blood, y'all. It's in her DNA, and she is growing, and she's here to teach us how to do better business and take your business to the next level. Miss Adrian, this has been a crazy year. COVID-19 was a dumpster fire. Tax changes right and left. Almost practically every day, something was happening with the administration with tax changes. So tell us, what are the current, can you give us some new tax laws or tax changes to be prepared for next tax season? Because this tax season is already done. What can we do to prepare for next tax season with the new COVID benefits?
Actually, just to be really clear, it is not over. Only because there's this huge aftermath. Like when you dump legislation and legislative changes in the midst of a tax season, never happened before. It has created such an aftermath that there's so much follow-up and so much interpretation that, tax offices have to do. However, the newest thing that is coming up, and I definitely need to inform my clients and audiences, there is the child credit that's supposed to be implemented this upcoming July. It's acting like an advance. And I know that there's been some formulas rolled out about it. And I think people should just pretty much watch their bank accounts at this point. Just like the stimulus was just dropping in bank accounts without a whole lot of direction or how they were getting, people were just getting money left and right. So I would anticipate that the child credit will probably perform the same, and we should be seeing payments according to everything that I've been watching this upcoming summer. In addition, I think the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the CARES Act, those are still things that are happening that's impacting businesses, like the carry forward of the losses, the PPP loans. You have to be aware of all of those things. So my advice, because it has been ever changing, is just to team up with your tax professional, advisor, consultant, and just make sure that you are taking advantage of all of the credits that were really truly implemented since the CARES Act.
Absolutely. And so does your company assist with people filing the PPP loans for the first time, or also the PPP loan is forgivable if they met certain criteria or met certain parameters? Does your company assist people with filing those documents to prove so the loan doesn't become a loan and it becomes a grant?
We do have resources. I have helped internal clients with that. So I do provide consults and guidance on getting that checklist together. From what I understand, there are talks of maybe a fourth stimulus that may include that. But for right now, I believe that the PPP funding has been closed down for the application. However, from what I've been reading, EIDL, I would say go to the SBA. There's still targeted EIDL available. Check your emails if you were part of that first round of EIDL. The SBA has been sending out emails to my clients, so I have been helping them get that funding together and the documents together for those financial resources.
Powerful. Woman of many trades, y'all, many skills, very diverse. Very, very diverse. So I have real estate investors that follow this channel and follow me. What is the best? Can you spill some tea? What is the best type of business entity or business structure for a real estate investor?
It depends on where someone wants to go. So, and I know that's great. You would have to actually just sit down with advisors. And I actually sat down with one of my mentors yesterday. We specifically talked about the CCorp and the S-Corp. I'd say entry level, maybe go with an S-Corp, especially if you're a smaller, maybe like a sole proprietor, or you have very small investor practice in real estate, maybe try the S Corp. But as you get bigger, there's so many more opportunities with the C Corp when it comes to financing and credit, getting lines of credits with banks. So as you level up, you definitely want to speak with your tax advisor or your financial advisor and see how that would specifically help to move from an S Corp to a C Corp. But typically you throw someone in an S Corp right away. They get some of the tax benefits. They don't have to get the self-employment tax. I'm taking a lot of my clients through that. But there are some significant advantages when you're a mogul to having a C Corp.
Makes perfect sense. At what point does someone qualify to work with you? Because is there a set number? Like, okay, this is the point when you're making this amount of money, you should go for the S Corp. And then at this point, not money, I should say revenue. That's the correct term. When you're making this amount of revenue, now it's time to graduate to a C Corp. Are those hard figures, or is it just kind of what do you look for to transition someone into those various stages?
There's two factors that I look at, and they're going to be very high level, very general, because there's always these moving pieces with each scenario. But for me, having an entrepreneur in my book, I like to see them actually making about 50 to 60,000 consistently for a couple of years. And then I have one question: what do your next 2 to 3 years look like? Are you wanting to actually maybe go for a loan? Are you looking to own a home? Are you looking to maybe get some more financing for your business? Because one of the biggest things that I've noticed that trended is companies or small businesses will write themselves out of a loan. They'll take all of their expenses, they'll make 50,000, right? And then show a profit of 15 to 20. Yet they want a home, right? So that question that I trigger, like, what does your next 2 to 3 years look like? Are you planning to get a loan? Are you planning to get a refi? Have that conversation with me. And then do you have the discipline and behavior to have a reserve to start paying yourself a reasonable salary? That conversation in my firm starts at that. Doesn't mean that we pull the trigger. It's just setting that expectation that if we have the current season, if you're not ready this year, let's keep talking and let's see if we can pull the trigger in one of the upcoming seasons for the business.
Makes perfect sense. What are some tax strategies for contractors and 1099s? 1099s are independent, and so the responsibility and the burden of taxes is on them versus their employer. What are some tax strategies that a 1099 can do to save on tax and paying taxes?
It's recognizing that they now can perform as a business, especially if they start to command a salary, or command revenues that are high up there. There's some awesome 1099 folks that are getting 75K plus from their independent contracting, especially out here in Phoenix. And so it would be the same suggestion. Have you ever thought of yourself and restructuring yourself as a business? Because they too fall into the same belt as far as writing off too many things, or they may not understand that when they're going for a home loan, they might have to show X amount of years of that activity in terms of profitability. So it's just having that conversation with them and making sure that they see themselves as a business based on their next 2 to 3 years, year goals.
Makes perfect sense. So what are some write-offs? Can you say what is a business expense? What's a business expense? What's a personal expense, so I can know the difference?
So what's a business expense? That's so broad. But for your independent contractors, we're in the gig economy. So we are seeing we have Lyft drivers making 100 racks in the book.
Really?
They're getting it. With ride share between they're delivering the Uber Eats is really popular, doing Lyft. So they're pretty much writing off the wear and tear on their vehicle. And then even just some of the smaller things the supplies that they buy for their car to keep the car clean, the maintenance, they need to keep track of those things. We have a revolutionary beauty industry that's booming right now. Everybody still is coming out of the closet or coming out of quarantine. So now we see more hairdressers are just like, oh my gosh, now everything's back up and running. So hairdressers can start writing off like their booth rent or their supplies, and just work with someone who's strategic so they can make sure that they're writing off in the appropriate category, so they're not writing themselves out of anything that they could foresee themselves getting like a loan in the future. But anything is operational or service related to your business performance is considered a write-off. Just run that by your tax professional.
Absolutely. So I love how you put that so delicately. We're getting out of a pandemic. It's like, oh, let me get my hair done. It's like time to get my hair done and actually look right and make some sense of this hair. So thank you for pointing that out so delicately. We have one more quick commercial break, y'all. Miss Adrian Trice, she'll be right back, coming to the stage. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you a local business looking to offer your customers easy access to cash without having to travel miles? We're here to help. At Norman Legacy Investments, we provide free ATMs with free installation that provide a suitable investment for your business. Even better, we offer you some profit sharing and handle everything from start to finish. Just reach out to us today to schedule a free consultation.
Welcome back. This is Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have the incredible Miss Adrian Trice on Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and she is spilling all the corporate financial tea that we need to do and we need to implement to do better business. And so coming out of this pandemic, one of the biggest things that people often mess up, is they operate out of a personal account for business expenses. How many bank accounts do you advise your clients to have when operating a business for the first time? How many accounts should I have when starting my business?
One.
One.
When I say maybe checking, like a business checking and a business savings. And it also depends on what kind of business that you have. I'm going to say go in with one, but I'm again managing a trucking company, and our bookkeeper is like, no, we need one. We need an account for payroll. We need one for the reserve of the trucks in terms of repair. We have several business owners that are coming into us, so we want to make sure that each of the business partners, partner agreements, they all have access to their own accounts so they can see the revenues that are coming in. So that question is to be answered. Where are you at in your business? If they're coming in, make it simple. But as they grow, maybe one for payroll, maybe one for a reserve, depending on the industry that they're in. And a bookkeeper to accompany those accounts so that they can stay in compliance.
What's the best software that you've seen used to incorporate those things and managing all those accounts?
The go-to, and I've been with the company and received accolades from them, would be Intuit's QuickBooks. It is one of the, I would say, more sophisticated software, but I actually like FreshBooks. Some of my clients have hopped on to FreshBooks, and I enjoy the ease of it, just the importing and exporting options. So if they're starting off and they're not going to do anything so intricate, I would say FreshBooks. But if they have payroll and they're operating, a little bit more deeply, I would say QuickBooks.
Absolutely. So to start off, business account, business checking, business savings. That's to start off. And then as we graduate, we start hiring employees, a separate account for payroll. If we're at 1099, a separate account for taxes, because now the tax responsibility is on us. And then as we grow, the needs of the business grow. So like you said, if we have partners, that's also another account that's separate from the other accounts.
For reporting. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. But that makes it harder for you because now it's all like, now we manage, or does it make it easier?
No, I have a bookkeeper. That's it.
True.
Like, where the numbers at, girl? That's all I have to know. Like, no.
Absolutely. Love that. You mentioned payroll. And one of the unique things that I wanted to touch on is you incorporate kids into payroll. Family, which is very scary to incorporate. How do you make it work? How do you incorporate family into the business, and how do you pay kids or children, putting them on payroll? Isn't that like illegal? You make your kids work for you?
No, It isn't, but it is quite a common question. So the first thing when you put your kids on payroll, you have to be making money, right? I love, being a little question. Hey, I want to put my kids on payroll. Okay, let's take a look at your revenues. You're already operating in a loss, so that probably won't be a strategic expense for that type of business. However, I do have I loosely say 2/3 of my children, because my 12-year-old, he does some office work for me, but 2/3 of my children, they do function in the business. And it's pretty much, you just have to make it, right? You have to make payroll, and that means you have to be a revenue generating company. And I like to start them off on 1099s, because you can do that in the first stages of your business, have a real transparent conversation with your kids, watch the hours, do the scaling. But then after that, if you go S Corp, then you need to consider, should they really convert to W-2s, because that is a standard that you must have in place. So those are just the two things. And the scary thing about it, scary, loose term, is you now are responsible for paying your children who are relying on you to make payroll. So it's a little bit more weighted, because who wants to be like, lay off your children? Like, hey, I wasn't able to scale this business. Sorry, son, you're going to have to go out into the world and find a job. And I'm definitely highly committed to making sure that I don't have to have that conversation.
That's hard. That's a hard conversation to have. You're right. And that's something that's not mentioned. I haven't heard that before. So that makes sense, right? Nobody, I feel, should go into business to go out of business, but also too, you never want to have that hard conversation, even with employees.
Right.
Being self-employed, that's a hard conversation, and many people had to do that in the pandemic. They had to lay off friends, family members, people they had dinner with, went on vacation with, and now I got to tell you, I can't pay you next month, I can't pay you next week. So that's hard.
Right.
Absolutely. One of the unique things that is new to me, but from what I understand, it sounds very beneficial, because again, I like real estate. It's called a series LLC. And so, are you able to expound on how that functions from a real estate standpoint? Because it sounded appealing to me. So what I was told is, so whenever you buy a property, you put that property under an LLC. It has its own bank account. It has its own established accounts for that specific property. But a series LLC allows you to have the same benefits of multiple bank accounts from one holding company. So can you correct me or expound on a series LLC for me and how that functions or how that works?
What you'll find about me, real estate is not my niche. I do have clients, but they're not on that level of the series. My forte would be rental properties and just writing off rental properties. So I would probably not be the best person for that. But if you need some consult on that, I definitely have a Rolodex of CPAs who are.
Fair enough. Absolutely. What would you say to that young man, that young woman who's on the fence about starting in business? What would you say to that young boy or girl who's scared, right? And they're nervous and they don't know if their business is viable, or whether they should get started, or whether they should wait to the vaccine, or whether they should wait till next year? What would you say to that young girl or that young boy watching this?
Why wait? What are you waiting for? There's no better time than now. If you take a look at previous environments in terms of recessions and economic challenges in this country, the millionaires really came up during these times. Like, money is to be made during chaos. Ideas and creativity flourishes during chaos, because really and truly business is based on resolution. How can you solve a problem? So if you can identify a problem and solve it, there's a good chance that you'll be able to monetize it if you scale it. So I'd say why, especially if you're young and you don't have any obstacles or distractions, just go out there and do it. And the fear pretty much comes from probably failing, afraid to fail, or, but fail. That's just, I'm like, just get over it, just fail as much as possible. And then,
fail forward.
Yeah, because that's the only way that you're going to learn. So I think that's one of the reasons why people don't go into business. So it has to be perfect, or no, let me tell you, BTS, behind the scenes, there's always something going on with the entrepreneur. It's just, how do you recover and how do you make up for it when you do fail? What did you learn? How can you actually, close those gaps during failures? And we'll put that failures in quotes because it's really just a learning curve.
What's next for you, Miss Adrian? What do you have in store? What's the next thing that you are, what's the next goal for you?
So I am in a contract negotiation to become the COO of a trucking company. And my tax business will be offering the services for that trucking company. So that is what the next few years will look like. That simultaneously stabilizing the infrastructure of, the tax office that I currently have. I'm in talks with bringing on more tax consultants so people can actually get a hold of services. So we have a whole entire consulting team coming to fruition next season. Those are just the two things that I have going on. Those are the only things I got going on in my life. And then other than that, being a mother of the best 3 sons a mom could ask for.
Love that. Miss Adrian, how can we connect with you? How can we grow with you? How can we learn more and stay connected?
So you can actually find me, and I'll be doing a lot of the announcements regarding the season and what's going on in my universe. You can go to Instagram and find me at the Adrian Trice. If you're wanting to vet us, my tax firm, for any type of tax support, business formation, take a look at me. You can go to DNA Fin Solutions. And then I'm also going to be rolling out a platform for entrepreneurs. So the Get It program, the actual thegetitprogram.com, that is a live website. So if you're wanting to get on the email, just go ahead and log on to that and you'll be able to find me.
Love that. She's not stopping, y'all. She's not slowing down for nothing. Always working to the next goal, always building, and always giving back. This woman is dynamic. This woman is powerful. Miss Adrian, thank you for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Thank you for giving back in this way. And thank you for inspiring. You inspired me today. And so
thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. And I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever give up. Don't ever quit. The world is changed by you. The world is influenced by you and made better by you every single day. And we need you and we need what you're doing. So don't ever quit. Absolutely. You're very welcome. And thank you, my audience, for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this message has served you, and I hope this helps take your business, take your personal, your finances to the next level. And if you want to connect with Miss Adrian, connect with her on www.dnafinsolutions.com. She is phenomenal and changing the world, one family, one business at a time. Like I end every show, take care of your family, take care of your homes, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman, your favorite gentleman, and Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and Miss Adrian Trice, the Adrian Trice on Instagram, signing off. We love you guys. Bye. How was that?
It was beautiful. You are so good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I worked really hard to provide. Absolutely. Thank you for giving back in this way.
Absolutely. If I could just use the opportunities and platforms to tell people about my story, because it's not linear.